Leilani, leave that lady alone. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, Leilani of Barbados. Let's just jump right in to episode 3. I am not going to go that hard. Okay, let's get real. I'm going to go really hard on it. Let's go. So first we have a glimpse into the wretched engagement interview, which Meghan calls an orchestrated reality show. In that everything was scripted, everything was prepared, everything was arranged. What's wrong with that? I mean, to be honest, like, what's wrong with being prepared? Someone says that Harry was the most popular member of the royal family.
I think hearts have broken worldwide this morning, certainly because he's probably the most popular member of the royal family.
I agree, he was the wild child. He was the one that was not beholden to anything responsible. He could be wild and free and a third wheel for Catherine and William. Yeah, he could just live his best life, whereas William was always put up to this high standard. So during the engagement interview, Harry tells Meghan that they want to see the ring.
Yeah, but also like, you know, and then there'll be a moment where they'll want to see the ring, so show the ring.
And like, she doesn't really want to show it. She's very upset about having to show the ring. It's still for sale, the replica of it, alongside of Catherine's engagement ring. I saw this in a shop. I was like, even now, 2 weeks ago, I saw that. P.S. I'm not going to use too much of her voice because I do realize it upsets people. So that's why I'm going to use more what other people said or what Harry said that are not as triggering and upsetting. Oh, also one more thing, the layovers. I have these layovers on the footage I use because I don't want to get copyright claimed. So I transform the footage that I use. That's why you see the snowflakes sometimes, or you see the leaves in, you know, blowing sometimes. YouTube is very funny about how you transform your content. So I've made sure to do that. Clever girl, aren't I? In the first minute, they refer back to the interview how Harry said that Meghan and Princess Diana would have been BFFs.
What do you think your mother would have thought of Meghan or said about Meghan?
Oh, these would be thick as thieves. Without question, I think she would be over the moon, jumping up and down, you know, so excited for me. But then, as I said, we'd have probably been best friends with Meghan's.
I disagree. I mean, that's his opinion. An opinion is like an a-hole. Everyone has one, as we say in the Caribbean. So having said that the interview was all arranged and all scripted and all prepped and prepared, I bet that she's now going to say that it was horrible for her to have to do it that way. I bet you. If I was a betting woman, I would bet you that.
But yes, we weren't, so my point is we weren't allowed to tell our story because they didn't want.
We've never been asked our story.
That's true.
That's the consistency.
That is consistent. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Until now.
I guess that's why we're here.
Yeah.
Hey, I predicted it. In the engagement interview, she wasn't allowed to tell her real story. I'm sorry, but if you signed on the dotted line, you signed it. So you can't go back now and say, well, I didn't mean anything I said. There's no proof of coercion. There's no proof that you were under duress. In fact, you were given time to prepare. That's a luxury. Oh, I remember this part of the interview where they say,
do you have that sense that the combination of the two of you, your different backgrounds, that you represent something new for the royal family?
You can see her eyes blinking because in her delusional mind, she thinks she's akin to a royal person. And I think this is the crux of the matter, is how she was from a different background from Harry and how Catherine was really seamlessly integrated into the royal family because of her background. She's jealous of the fact that Catherine came so seamlessly and she couldn't. And I think that's really childish. I mean, I think that you are what you are and you have to own it. And we're finally at the actual intro of this episode. And I hate it because it starts out with everyone chanting. I always have said the British public embraced Meghan as they would embrace anyone who Harry actually married. Not talking about girlfriends or side chicks or like, you know, one night stands. But when he chose to marry somebody, since he was so loved, she would then by extension be embraced. The problem with the chanting of the Meghan thing is that it feels narcissistic when I watch it, and that's why it bothers me, I think. So she gets back these two dumbasses to talk about the congruency between slavery. It's the same as civil rights. That's not true. That's a lie. I am here to tell you that what came out of colonialism is that the colonies were granted British passports. And this is a nuance. In the Caribbean, the Windrush, or moving to the metropole, England, was, and still is, to some extent, a step up. And this was actually what people wanted to do. It is a mentality. We want to get to the first world. If you're in the third world, if you're in the fourth world, if you're in the fifth world, of course, you want to get to the metropole. That's a little bit different from the civil rights movement. I think it's a lot different. And so the hell of gall. This man is gonna come up here and get paid to speak about things that he actually, the audacity of him to not research or know about is appalling. Meghan claims she had no training with the walkabouts and the press calls, and also, in fact, with the national anthem, she had to Google it and memorize it as she does her lines in her very prestigious. Did you know she was on a show? Her show? Suits? Yeah, that's a blatant lie. Okay, she did have training, and the national anthem was something that she would have been trained on. I just want to say, none of these people have any journalistic integrity. Like, none of the people involved in creating this documentary are journalists. None of them have done any research, and yet it seems like they're allowed to just make a documentary, which is why I said in my last video, or the video before, I can't remember, that certain people should not be allowed to make documentaries. But I do ask myself, what on earth has caused her to use the term documentary to spread a bunch of lies and just go back in time and recreate history? I figured out it's two things. One is Princess Catherine and her insane jealousy of Princess Catherine. Two, her father's letter. When her father exposed her in that letter, it broke down all of the work that the royal family PR had done to make her seem clean and crisp and beautiful, and actress and Hollywood and lights and cameras and just fabulosity, because her father released that letter. And in fact, Meghan, as the author of the letter, was not sure if her father was going to reveal the other, even more repulsive parts of the letter, which he said he did not reveal for a reason. They were so bad, he couldn't. Let's get back to this thing anyhow. The walkabout that she knew nothing how to do it. Apparently she just winged it, and she did really good, and everyone loved her because she just figured it out on her own, the smart cookie that she is. I gotta remember that the royal family did protect her from, for example, the press talking about her first marriage to Derek or Trevor. I can't remember the man's name, but it's one of those names, right? They never talked about that. They never said she was in her past, how she was, if there was a casting couch involved, which apparently there was. Say some, allegedly. Everyone just said she's squeaky clean and she's white. Like, well, they didn't say she's white, but like nobody brought out her mixed race or like whether she was black or not. So all of this is just fictional at this point, and it insults my intelligence that they're trying to portray this as something that was conspired because of race. If that's the case, then Meghan needs some more racism in her life, because she doesn't really know what that's like. She reaches out to Elton John through Archie and says,
I mean, Archie loves Benny and the Jets. It is his favorite song. And to watch a 2-year-old go, Benny, Benny, Benny.
But we don't get Elton John giving an opinion like all these other buffoons. We get the makeup artist. Elton John, please message me back. You've left me on blue in the messages, which we'll get to as well. It is at this time that Harry begins to express his aggression towards the press and royal experts.
Royal correspondent is a title, I suppose, that is given to a select group of journalists so that those newspapers can use them and their stories with royal correspondent as credible fact. And that sort of press pack of royal correspondence is essentially just an extended PR arm of the royal family. So it's been an agreement that's been there for over 30 years.
Please remember her father's letter to the Daily Mail at this time, because this is what really pissed them off, was the letter. They had no problem with the press when they were just photographing her going to yoga and that shitty yoga mat, which I even bought. Okay? It's only when her father exposed her for what she really is and showed the public that this is a massive bitch, and she's not just going to yoga and eating avocado on toast. She's a bitch. They turned on the press. It's not the press turned on them. By the way, he blames the royal family for somehow being in cahoots with this negative press. I mean, the royal family cannot protect anyone, even in the royal family, from the press. The press is going to be the press. I don't know why he thinks the royal family has so much control over them that they had to be in cahoots with them in order for negative things to be said about Meghan. So we get press complaint, press complaint, press complaint. If anything can be complained about, or if it can't, it will be complained about in this documentary. Dormant Doria comes back. Let's go. Doria the dunce. Doria the dwelling in prison. Doria. No, let me stop. Leilani, leave that lady alone. She's not even supposed to be here. She doesn't want to be here. Leave her alone. Oh, my bando fell off. Okay, let me get into Doria now. Don't forget to subscribe. Please stay tuned for part 2. Love you. Bye.
Anyway, peace and love, peace and love.